This picture is even worse. Yes, if they said if a pedophile had a physical feature, this is the face. This is the best face to, put like what a pedophile means. This is him right here. I'm sure when he came to prison, like since he was, in and out of jail and stuff, when he came in, they were like, you pedophile, man. We can see it in your face, bro. Look at this. This guy, he doesn't look like he would bomb a bank, rob, probably sell drugs, but pedophile for sure.
Y.A.D. Totiro.
What's up, everybody? I hope you guys are doing good. Today, we have an interesting video. We got Newsroom Africa in the building. South African Epstein survivors speaks out. One of the biggest, pedophiles in history. Let's step in.
Watching News at Prime, let's get into this conversation now. Convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's wealth and influence marked decades of predatory behavior. Public records identify his first known victim back in 1994, a child of just 13 years. With his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, he groomed underage girls and young women with the promise of education, modeling, or opportunities, only to subject them to sex trafficking. Well, one of those survivors is Juliet Bryant. She joins us now as she tries to put her life back together 15 years after the allegedly facing abuse at the hands of Epstein. And she talks to us from Cape Town tonight. Juliet, good evening to you. Thank you very much for your time. I'd like to start with how you met Jeffrey Epstein, is now late, together with his partner, Ghislaine Maxwell. Now,
hey man, speaking about, Jeffrey Epstein's death, allegedly some people assume online that he might be still alive somewhere, somehow. Allegedly. Somewhere, somehow, there might be a way, like some people, but some people think he's not dead. I've seen a couple of clips. I don't know if it's real, but hey.
Now, a convicted criminal as well.
Sorry, I met Epstein when he was in Cape Town. A girl approached me at Osaka on Cliff Street and told me that...
Yeah, I know Epstein, bro. Each and every country, you just do your thing, bro. How many countries have you destroyed?
That her friend was here, he was the king of America. She said he was here with Bill Clinton and Kevin Spacey, and his best friend, Leslie Wexner, owned Victoria's Secret. I was studying psychology and philosophy at the University of Cape Town, but I was doing modeling on the side to earn income. So it obviously seemed like an amazing opportunity. So we went across to Beluga, which was very nearby, and sure enough, they were all there having dinner. They all stood up while having dinner. They were with some government officials, and...
Oh no. I think I heard him. Am I tripping? I think he said she was, sexually molested and stuff like that 15 years ago. And according to the files I've seen online, Epstein's court cases, just him doing these sketchy pedophile activities, I think it was 2008. So 2008 until now, that's what? Is it 18 years? Yeah, I think it's 18 years. So which means she probably didn't know Epstein was on that type of timing. But back in those days, while Epstein was doing his thing, most people knew that, hey, he moved this way. So people who were engaging with Epstein after 2008, you guys were a bit creepy,
They all shook my hand, and we were there for about 5 minutes, and then we left, and then the girl phoned and she said that Epstein would like to see my modeling portfolio the next day. They were staying at the Cape Grace Hotel.
Yeah, please continue.
So, so they also invited me to go watch Clinton's speech. He was doing a speech at the Western Cape Peninsula Technicon. So obviously, I thought they were good people, and I really believed in what their cause. I thought they were trying to help people in Africa. So I went to watch the speech. He didn't really say much, but while he was doing the speech, Kevin
Look at
Spacey
his
filmed all the
face.
students in the hall on a handheld device. This was in 2002. So
I'm sorry to say this, but we know Epstein has been doing one or twos, but if you talk about like a pedophile, he will be the greatest example on, like, he's the face of like representing what a pedophile actually looks like. If a pedophile had like a face, this is the man right here. This is him right here. Like, yeah.
it was quite unusual for someone to have a small camera that could film things
No,
like that.
even
Yeah.
this picture is even worse. Yes, if they said if a pedophile had a physical feature, this is the face you would, this is the best face to, put like what a pedophile means. This is him right here. I'm sure when he came to prison, like, since he was, in and out of jail and stuff, when he came in, they were like, you pedophile, man. We can say it in your face, man. Look at this. This guy, he doesn't look like he would bomb a bank, rob, probably sell drugs, but pedophile for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all these years later, it's very disturbing wondering why he was filming everyone in the hall. At the time, I thought it was for the speech and for the work they were doing. Anyway, after that, we went back to the hotel, and I went in with my modeling portfolio, and there were three women posing as modeling agents. I didn't realize at the time they were posing. I believed the whole situation. They said they worked for Karen Models. They looked through my modeling book, and Bill Clinton walked through the room while the casting was taking place. I was then told to go see Epstein with my book, and he looked through my book, and he said, right, he thinks I'd be great for Victoria's Secret. And I didn't have any money at the time or anything, so I told them, it's difficult for me, but they said they're going to pay for my flight, they're going to arrange my passport and my visa, and they will deduct any expenses from my income when I'm there.
This is Donald Trump, right? Chilling with Epstein right here. Okay.
So basically, they had me there within like 3 weeks. I landed and was taken to the apartment, and then the phone rang and they said, pack a small bag, we're going to the Caribbean. I assumed it was for a modeling shoot. I didn't have a phone. It was very different times in 2002. You couldn't get your phone to roam overseas very easily. I didn't have any money, so obviously I just had to go. And then what happened as soon as the plane took off, he started being abusive, and I started to realize that I was in great danger.
My goodness.
I thought, oh my God.
Okay, it was 2002, as she says. So it was before Epstein was convicted for, pedophile activity. So, okay.
My family was never going to see me again. I got a terrible fright because it was my first time traveling out of South Africa. I'd never traveled anywhere on my own. I'd never been anywhere without my family.
Yeah.
I was 20. I was a naive 20-year-old. Yeah, it was very frightening.
All of this, sorry to interrupt, all of this is happening so quickly, and that in a blink of an eye, you are overseas and you are now in his island. But something in you tells you that this is all terribly wrong, and you now feel as though you are kidnapped. Talk to us about that period where you almost feeling that if you do anything wrong, these people are so powerful that your family back in South Africa could be in danger. What happened?
Yeah, exactly. So, I realized that I just had to go along with what he wanted because, I was being called to his room, and then, more girls kept coming and going. And then Maxwell arrived as well. She was also there a lot of the time. And eventually they ended up taking me to all the properties over time, you know. But what happened is when I was sent back from there, he told me that he had my family's name on a list and he worked for the CIA. And he told me that a girl who accused him of rape, he planted drugs in her apartment and had her sent to prison. So I was just petrified, you know. I just realized it wasn't a good idea to get on this man's bad side. And I could see that he pretty much ran the world. Like, he'd be on the phone to Clinton and Bush. He was friends with Fidel Castro. He had photos with him. He had photos of himself with the Pope. You know, for a young person, it was just a very, very frightening situation to be thrown into.
This is all frightening. And let's then talk about why it is that you have decided to speak out, because for a while you were warned by some people. If you're comfortable to tell us who those people are, you were warned not to speak out. But tell us what it is that's given you the courage to speak out and why it is that you want people to know about your story.
I actually, you know, the whole thing was so traumatic for me. But then after I was given settlement money, I had time to see therapists and to get well and to sort of detangle the hold he had over me. You know, a lot of things have happened since then, and this has been, you know, just very, very frightening. I actually started speaking out on X about 4 or 5 years ago when it was still Twitter, but they kept blocking my accounts. And, you know, the thing is that the mainstream media hasn't actually chosen to interview me. Sorry, my dogs are being in the background. You know, I've got dogs to keep safe. Sorry, dogs. No. Yeah. So I started speaking out a couple of years ago on Twitter, which became X. And, you know, the mainstream media hasn't yet interviewed me until
No,
I'm so
totally
sorry.
understand.
I've got protection dogs for a good reason.
Yeah. No, we understand. No worries. Please go on.
But yeah, the mainstream media wouldn't actually interview me until recently, you know. And even when they did, like the BBC did an interview a couple of years ago. Guys, come on. And they blocked out Clinton's name. They blocked out like a lot of names I mentioned. So basically, I've been speaking out for years, but it's only recently that the media has actually taken attention to the story, because, you know, and that's why I started speaking out, because I realized a lot of the victims might no longer be here. You know, a lot of the victims are unfortunately dead or too traumatized to speak.
Yeah.
So I started speaking out for those who have no voice. And it's taken the media quite a while to put the story on air. But, you know, also there's a lot of dark stuff in the files, which I've been, you know, from the research I did when I had time to work out what they'd actually done to me.
Yeah.
You know, I did a lot of research and I started sharing information, but a lot of people thought I was crazy or whatever. But now that the files have come out, people are realizing that what I said was not untrue. And I think that's why the media has to wait until there's evidence to back up things. So
Yeah.
I have actually been speaking out for a long time, and just thank you also for having me on, because the more light we shed on this, the better. And, you know, coming from a place like Africa, it touches my heart very, very much. It hurts me very badly of all the children and people who are hurt here. And, you know, I'm very proud to be an African. And with trafficking, we know a lot of it happens in our country, on our continent.
Yeah.
And I just want to speak out for all victims of abuse.
Let's talk about what you make reference to, and that is that there are emails that are now being released. All of this is happening in America, but it's having a ripple effect affecting governments such as in the UK. The special advisor or chief of staff to the UK Prime Minister was forced to resign recently, all because he advised the Prime Minister to make Peter Mandelson the UK's ambassador to the United States. So I'm just painting a picture of the ripple effects here. You are a South African. What would you like to see happen, and what would your warning be to people who are unsuspecting? Yes, Jeffrey Epstein is dead now, but there could be many Jeffrey Epsteins out there. What would your warning be to young
They still
women
are.
who are lured in the exact same way that you were many, many years ago with a modeling contract?
No, of course. So, yeah, this
It's like it's almost the same thing as that guy, African casting. Yeah, he kind of moves like Jeffrey Epstein a little bit with recruiting ladies, promising them, dreams, 1, 2, 3, but like in his, mind, he's cooking something different. So yeah, man, they still are Jeffrey Epsteins out there. So it's tough.
is why I speak out, is because I want to protect young people. It's the thing is, it's even hard to give advice because like it seemed like they were so legitimate. The way that Clinton was the president of America and everything. But what I would suggest people to do in the future is to get a contract. I was young and I didn't realize that I should have had some sort of contract written up that, yes, they're going to be providing modeling. Because when you've got something in writing, it can really help someone. I think a lot of people are taken advantage of where they sort of like, oh, my dreams are coming true, and they go along with it. The thing is to get something in writing, and also to make sure that you've actually got money and a phone to get away if you need to. Back in the day, in 2002, it was very different. And also, for anyone who's been abused or be in a bad situation, I would just say get a good network of people around you. Speak to law enforcement if you can. Get away slowly. A lot of these predators are very evil, and they have ways of manipulating people and almost hypnotizing them. And I suppose the main thing is, as any victim of anything like this, to get a lot of rest and just build up your strength so that you're strong enough to take them on. And it's just it's horrific what happens to a lot of people, and it's also terrible how people don't have much voice when things like this happen.
Yeah.
And I think the more of them that are exposed, the better.
Juliet Bryant, I'd like to thank you for...
Amen. Yeah. Jeffrey Epstein, yeah, he went crazy. Did he did damage? And amen. You guys just comment down below and tell me what you think about this. But what I know for a fact is there are still more Jeffrey Epsteins out there, and they'll also be revealed as time goes by. But amen. I'm gonna tap with y'all. Love you. Take care.